Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now last week after I did my video about why I started my channel, one of you sent me a message. Well, you all sent me lovely messages, but one person sent me a message and I promised that I would do a get ready with me using the nude palette by Huda and the Pat McGrath lipstick that I got. So I'm going to do a get ready with me and sort of show you a simple look using these two products that's not too overwhelming, that hopefully any of you feel that you can do, and just to give you that brighten up your face, make you feel good, and yeah, so that's what I'm going to do today. So I'm just going to put my base on and I'll be right back after here. Okay, I'm back. So I've done, I used Flawless Filter as my primer. Any primer will do, but one that gives you a little bit. I find that Flawless Filter and the Huda Faux Filter Foundation is a really lovely combo. Now, I did use the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Powder over the top. It made me look quite flat. It's very good at setting makeup, but it does make you go quite matte. So in order to counteract that, I sprayed my skin afterwards with this Fix Plus Gold Light from MAC. So it's basically a setting spray, but it's got some shimmer in it. So if you've got a powder that hasn't got any shimmer in it and it leaves you looking a bit matte, you can spray it with that and it will add that glow back to your skin. Okay, so that's what I did, and I used the Huda Overachiever concealer. So the purpose of today is, I'm sure a lot of you, are really skilled at putting on makeup, or you feel quite confident. This is just to do one that doesn't look overwhelming, something that either if you feel a bit overwhelmed with the palette, or you basically are in a rush, you can just do something quickly which is going to look like you've spent a lot of time. Okay, you don't really need to use that many colors. All right, so that is my purpose of today's look, using the nude palette by Huda Beauty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the colors, intersperse them before each section of this video, so that you can see exactly what color I'm using where, rather than picking it up and showing it you each time. All right, so let's get going with this look. Okay, you should have just seen the one that I'm going to start with, just to let you know that I am I've put some concealer on my eyes as a primer, which you can do if you want instead of eye primer, and then just set it with some powder before I started. So with this shade Fantasy, I'm just going to take my fingers and I'm going to rub my fingers onto it, and you can see it's beautiful, and I'm just going to rub that onto my lids like so. And you can rub it up. Don't worry if it goes into the crease, because that just means it's going to blend a little bit better. So don't worry about that. Just basically you're making sure that you get it over the lid. All right. And don't worry, again, if you need to do a few layers, just get it to a look that you feel happy with. Now I have got hooded lids, as you know, and I'm going to give you one step if you've got hooded lids, but if you don't have hooded lids, you don't have to do that step. Okay, so just pat and wipe over the lids, and as I say, do not worry if it goes a little bit into the crease. That's not a problem, it just means it'll look more blended when you've finished. Okay, So you should end up looking something like that. Now let's move on to the next shade. Okay, so I'm going to be using a reasonably fluffy brush to blend this into the crease. Okay, and I'm using an Essential Crease Brush by Real Techniques on the shade Tickle, as you will have just seen. And I'm just going to dab that very slightly into it. You see that they are quite powdery, these shadows. I'm just tapping it in there. And you can blow off the excess, right, if you feel that you've got too much on your eyeshadow brush. And then all I'm going to do is try and hold the brush at the end here, because that will make it easier to blend. And you're just literally going to do a windscreen wiper, okay? And sometimes when you put on an eyeshadow, you think, oh no, it's all stuck there, look, and it's not moving there. Don't worry, just keep moving it. And if need be, just do circular motions, and that will help it to move, okay? And that's why it's good to set your eyelid with a bit of powder, because it just helps to move the shadow a bit more. All right, and then I'll just do the other side. And we're literally going across the entire crease. So starting at the outer corner and pushing it all the way to the inner corner. But it's bound to look less in the inner corner than the outer one. That doesn't matter. Now what you want to be doing at this point is just, especially if you've got hooded lids, okay, is you want to close your eyes and think, can I see that much of the crease colour? And at the moment I can't. I'm seeing a lot of lid without colour on. So I'm just going to take a little bit more, and I'm going to take it a little bit higher, right? Because I want to see some of that crease colour up there when I close my eyes. When you're doing your eyeshadow, you're always doing this. And so you think, yeah, I can see it. And then when you drop it, it's gone. So this is just ensure that you can see it. I'm taking it a little bit further up. Okay, and I'm going to take that same shadow now. So we're talking about Tickle still. And I'm going to take a firmer brush, like a smudge brush. And this one is called a shading brush. And I'm just going to take a little bit of that. Again, just dab it in, not too much. And then just take that under the lid, like so. Just to balance out that colour, okay? And again, under here. And link it up to the side so that it's linking up to what you've done on the top. And don't worry, we can clean that up later. All right? Right, the next step is if you've got hooded lids like me. And when I say hooded lids, so basically you can only see a little bit of a lot of my lid disappears when I kind of relax my eyes, and you can see that I kind of lose a lot of my lids. Also, you'll notice that I've got this bit of overhang here. Okay, so because of that, I want to kind of hide that overhang. Now, if you've got hooded lids, then I would suggest doing this step. If you don't, you can leave it at that and miss this step out, okay? Okay, so this next step is just if you've got hooded lids. Okay, so I'm going in now with a darker shade called Tease, which you will have just seen. And again, I'm going to dab this with this stiffer brush, and I'm just going to pack that on in the corner, as though I'm drawing a triangle, like that. So a bit there and a bit there. Okay. And you'll see I often do this because it just gives the impression. Can you see when you look? I know I haven't blended this in yet, but it just looks like that lid is a bit, the crease goes a bit further back. It gives that impression. It takes away the look of that overhang, which is why I do it. All right. And again, I'll just do this side. So you're just doing, you're pressing on a little triangle. So like that, okay? And then going back with your fluffy brush, just make sure it's nice and clean, and then just give it a little wiggle. All right, just to blend it in at the side, so it doesn't, you don't have any harsh edges like that. Just give it a little wiggle. Don't worry if it goes down here, because we'll clean that up again. All right. And then finally, I'm going to just clean that stiff brush so that you've only got 2 brushes. I'm going to use this shade at the top called Bear. And just go under the brow, under the arch, all the way along. So it just gives your eyebrow a little highlight. And there you have a really easy look using this palette. And then when you get more confident about using it, you could perhaps put, if you're going out at night, you could put one of the glitter shades on. Or if you wanted to do, you could take, just to give you an idea, you could take this gold shade here, which is slightly lighter than this one, and you could pop that in the center of the lid if you want to. But that on its own is perfectly fine as it is. But if you wanted to just pop a little bit of that, it just gives you a little bit more of a highlight in the middle of the lid. Can you see? Can you see the difference? How it just gives you that little bit. When you turn your eyes, you've got a bit of a highlight in the middle. And then as you get more confident using the palette, you can say, right, I'm going to build up the crease and I'm going to go in with some of these darker shades. But this is the basic look that you can start off with. And then you can kind of refine it once you get more confident. So, you know, if any palette makes you feel a bit overwhelmed, start off something on the lid, something in the crease, then something in the corner if you've got hooded lids, and just something to highlight under the brow. And then as you build up your confidence, you can add more colours. But you can see that that is perfectly acceptable. Okay? Okay, now somebody raised a really good question in my live, and I thought it was worth revisiting. That if you've got hooded lids, and you go to line your upper lid, you often take up a lot of room by doing that. And then you lose the impact of what you put on your lids. So if you can, just tight line instead, which is, I'm just actually using this NYX one today, which isn't quite black, but it's kind of that teal black. But I'm just going to tight line underneath. You could use black if you want, or brown. And just instead of thinking, what I tend to do is instead of thinking I've got to press that eyeliner on the top rim of my eyes, it sounds like the same thing when I say this, but I suppose it's about how you think about it helps you to do it. So instead of thinking I've got to find here and start moving this about, just think I'm going to take this eyeliner here and I'm just going to let it press the corner here. And then I'm going to look away, and I'm actually bringing my lid to the pencil, right? I'm resting my lid on the pencil rather than I'm trying to touch the upper lid with the pencil. I'm resting my lid on the pencil. And as you can see, there's things that I kind of do automatically after these years, but I'm holding my little finger there, right, to kind of steady my hand. And then I've got this here. So this isn't going to move, right? And I can kind of move my head rather than move the pencil. I do a little bit in the corner where I give the pen a bit of a wiggle. But the outer corner, I'm moving my head rather than the pencil. Okay, and then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle in the corner. And that will give you that definition without you going anywhere near your upper lid. Okay? And then you can always put a little bit under here. Just smudge some under here. You don't have to go all the way along, but try and just link it up in that inner corner there. Just tuck it in where the lower lid meets the upper lid. So just a little bit along there. And then tuck it in. Little line going out. And then just blend it with your fingers. Okay? So I haven't put any on my upper lid. It's all gone in the waterline underneath. And then if you've got a white pencil, you might want to do, let me do the pink. If you've got white pencil, you might want to do the lower waterline with it, because that will open your eye. All right, but you don't have to do the eyeliner because you've already put some shadow on there. I'm just saying these are sort of optional extras. Just the eyeshadow as it is perfectly fine, because once you get your eyeshadow on, I mean mascara, it will all come together. So let me carry on. Right, if you hate doing your brows or you find it really difficult, just get Charlotte's Legendary Brows. There are other companies actually that do the brow mascaras. Just get a brow mascara. I like Charlotte's Legendary Brows. I actually like this more than her pencil. Her pencil's okay, but it doesn't last very long, and I think there are other ones out there that are just as good and perhaps a little bit less expensive. It's okay, but I would say that there are others that are just as good. The thing I like about her mascara wand is that it is very tiny, so it does pick up every tiny little hair. So where you've got, like here, I've got a little bald patch, it will find those tiny hairs and it will coat them, and it just allows you to get in there without getting mascara, like brow mascara, anywhere else. So with the thicker brushes, it's very easy to kind of, as you're doing it, to kind of scrape this bit here. Whereas with this pen, you can really get in there and it makes it really easy. So I do like her Legendary Brows. And this is in the shade Supermodel. I think she does one darker one called Naomi, which is black. This is the darkest brown that she does. Okay, so it's just a really easy way of doing it. And then I think I'm going to use the It Cosmetics Tight Line Mascara. And I'll show you. Okay, the good thing about this Tight Line Mascara, again, if you're a hoodie, it's got a tiny little brush. It's a bit like the Legendary Brows, only even thinner. But what happens is, when I'll just coat the top a little bit like this, is that when you go in, this is so tiny that it kind of gives you, you can get right into the roots, and it'll also leave some colour in that tight line area. So it's a way of tight lining at the same time. So if you really don't get on with tight lining the upper tight line, and you get this and you wiggle it, you will leave some colour underneath, as though you've done a tight line pencil. Does that make sense? Hopefully. As you're putting it on, this will kind of press on that underside, and it will leave some colour, which will give the impression of you having tight lined underneath. And again, because it's a small brush, you can get it into tiny little hairs here that you might not be able to get with other brushes. So it's quite a good one. And it's very good for the lower lashes, because you can actually get under them so that you pull them off the skin a bit. And it doesn't get on the skin. Okay, next step, blush. We didn't discuss what blush I was going to use for this look. And sometimes when people have a palette and they think, what blush is going to go with it? I'm not sure, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you look at a blusher, what makes it a blusher as opposed to an eyeshadow? It's pigment. It's got colour in it. It's no different to an eyeshadow, except you get more of it. So if you're not sure about what blusher to use, you can either use your lipstick, as you've seen before, or you can use a shade in the palette. And you can take a setting brush like this, because obviously if you go and dip a blush brush, you're going to get all sorts of shades next to it. And you can actually use, so if we actually take Tickle, which is what I used on the crease there, and I take a little bit on my setting brush and circular motions with this setting brush, you know for sure that you're going to have a blush that matches. I'm going to put a bit more, just start with a little and then work your way up. You know that this is going to match your eyeshadow because it's the same product. See, and I just slightly taking a little bit at a time, and then just circular motions, and on we go. So you sometimes have to ask yourself, just because something's marketed as a blush, does that mean I can't use it on my eyes? And just because something's marketed as an eyeshadow, does that mean I can't use it on my cheeks? And there's only some very unusual occasions when you can't. Like, there's certain products that you would use on your cheeks that have got glitter in them, like high glitter content, that they would not suggest you use on your eyes. Like some of the MAC glitter pigments say do not use on your eyes, because the chunks of glitter are so big, if you got that into your eye, you might be in difficulty. But really, when you're talking about the usual eyeshadows, pretty much what you put on your eyes, you can put on your cheeks. So you see, and I'm just gradually taking a little bit at a time on this setting brush until I build it up to the colour that I want. Okay, and you can even do that with the highlighter. I'm just seeing if this would work. Let me just say, for example, I'm just trying to think whether this shimmer one would work. Let's give it a go. So this one, the fantasy one that I put on my lid. If I dab a little bit of my setting brush in there, I can put that as a highlighter. That works. And you know for sure that that is actually going to go with your look. Okay, you might have another product that you want to use. What would work really well with this is that rose gold palette from Charlotte Tilbury. If not, or I've also got some Huda face products that I can show you. But I'm just showing you how, if you don't know what's going to match with it, you can actually use the palette that you've got. All right. And if this has a really true brown in it, which it doesn't, they're sort of pinky browns, but you could even use a bronzer as well. So, but it doesn't really, they're a little bit too on the purpley side, so I'm going to veer away from that. Okay, I'm just going to do some Charlotte Tilbury Film Star bronze. We've done the glow, but I will do some bronze to contour and to bronze, and I'll be back after this. Okay, now for this Pat McGrath lipstick, I would definitely suggest that you use a lip liner just to stop it bleeding, because it's very creamy. And if you're not sure what lip liner to use Pillow Talk, because it will work with any lipstick that you use. The reason it will is because it is basically a nude skin colour, so it will define your lips. It's a neutral colour that will work on your lips to line them, and then you can put whatever colour lipstick you want with it. Now, another question I've been asked before is to fill or not to fill, and it's entirely up to you. Filling your lips, basically, there is advantages to it. If you fill your lips, then your lipstick is more likely to last longer. Okay, but if you feel it's going to disturb the lip colour and you don't like the mixture of the lip liner that you have and the colour that you're about to put on, then don't do it. I'm actually going to do it because I think it will work quite well with this. Okay, and then we have the lipstick, which is called, I've forgotten again, Flesh Fatale 072, and I'm just going to put that on straight from the bullet. Okay, now if you get to the end and you think, still want a bit more blush, or you don't want to put your eyeshadow on as a blush, just dot one there and one there, like that, and then very gently just keep rubbing, but don't press too hard, because what you don't want to do is to bring off your foundation and everything underneath. So you're just dabbing and moving it very gently around the cheek like that. Okay, and then the other side. And final little tip is when you put your lipstick on, I've forgotten to do this for so many videos, just to show you, if you just go around and dab it a bit more, it just tends to fill out your lips and it makes them look a little less painted on and a little bit more natural. Just do this. Okay, so that is today's look. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and I hope this makes you feel confident about having a go with this palette and experimenting. So just start with 2 or 3 colours. Once you've got that going, then you can start the next time thinking, oh, do you know what, I'm going to add something darker into the crease, until you feel confident experimenting with the colours. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and let me just take this down. My hair is a bit of a state. It's in desperate need of a wash at the moment, but I will take this down and I will do a bit of zhuzhing, and I will do a little final video where you will see it miraculously tidy and looking a little better than it does right now. All right, so take care, and I'll see you all for my Wednesday live. Bye-bye. And I forgot to clean up again, so I'm just showing you a diagram of where you would draw your concealer. So you draw a line as though you're drawing it from the bottom of your lash to the top of where your brow ends, as I've done in this diagram. Sorry about that, guys. Hope that helps.